भावशून्य सद्भाव सुस्थिति भावना बलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा. So भावशून्य सद्भाव सुस्थिति. Samasapatana. I have broken it. You don't add a. So it is भावशून्य सद्भाव सुस्थिति. But when I break it, भावशून्य सा सद्भाव सुस्थिति. So that abidance in the pure being. How do you accomplish it? Bhavashunya. So bhava is sankalpa vikalpa rahita. You see, your hope lies in keeping silent in your mind. Let me tell you very frankly. You see, you wish for self-realization, then your hope lies in keeping silent in your mind and quiet. Silent and quiet in your heart and mind. Realized people are very quiet. You should know that. You see, what is the movement of mind? The known. The movement of mind is the known, the changing. And we live with it. You examine it, you live with the known, the changing. See, people have to think deeply. They have to examine their life. So you should you should be able to realize that you are living with the changing, the known. As long as you are fulfilled with this changing, called self-fulfillment. The self is the small self, which is a product of the known. So, as long as you feel fulfilled, you practice self-fulfillment with the changeful, with the known, there is no hope. It is only when you are saturated with the changeable. Okay? You see, if you don't mind me saying, one last time I am saying a few things. Afterwards I will not be saying, you will not be hearing. Okay? Therefore let me have my freedom. So, simply saying Jagat is Ishvara is not going to work. Jagat is not Ishvara. If Jagat is Ishvara, you are going after Jagat should liberate you. Does it? So, therefore, you should be saturated with the changeable. Jagat is changeable. You should not make such statements which need elaborate explanation to make sense, to make the right sense, and which readily mislead. Once I went to do this, I always tell, because I did not find any better one yet. I went to a brahmachari's room. I asked, he is doing something at the kitchen, at the stove in the kitchen. Hey, what are you doing? He told me that he is cooking Brahman. Look at that. I told him, never again talk like that with me. You say cooking upma, not Brahman. This is the way you take it. So you got the point. Therefore, you must be saturated. You see, now you have a way of validating and justifying your dilly-dallying with the changeable. It will never work. You should negate it, then only you come to the real. Therefore, only when you are saturated with the changeable and long for the unchangeable. Do you long for the unchangeable, or do you long for the within the field of the known, within the field of the changeable and the known? Where is your longing? So, you long for the unchangeable. When that happens, then you are ready for the turning inward or turning around. A 180 degrees turn takes over, takes place. You are ready for it, and thereby you step into silence, that inner silence. You turn around 180 degrees and step into that inner silence. Now, that is the bhava shunya sadbhava susthiti. Again, don't add that ah when you chant, okay? I am adding because I am breaking it into two words. So, but be exhorted, that be warned that mind craves for content. Even when you become silent, the mind is there, you know. Mind is there. As a seed it is there. The seed mind is there. And the mind craves for content and variety. See, you become a victim of the mind's craving for content and variety, then you will be roaming in this world. So, if it is India, I have seen Shiva in Varanasi. Then next what? Krishna in Vrindavan. Next what? Triambakeshwara in Triambak. Next what? Like that you will be, mind craves for content. Once I went to Pandharpur and I had darshan of Lord Krishna, and we came out. Just we are getting down the steps of the temple. Then our colleagues asked, next where should we go? Then I said, now it is 12:30, you don't think of lunch. You are all young, you can manage it. I want lunch, that is next. And now you want to go to another temple. What you have done till now? Temple only. And the moment you come out, you say next what temple? That shows that you never had anything meaningful darshan. You had some prasadam, all right, added some calories to the body, but you never had any meaningful darshan. If you had meaningful darshan, you will not ask for next what. So this craving for content and variety, that is the mind's nature. Whereas reality is contentless and invariable. That is what reality is. Therefore, when you become silent, when you step into silence, the mind is there. It pops up and it seeks variety. Now enough of silence. Now something is waiting. Let me address to it. Or I have to make a phone call. Or why all the time silence? Why not chant some mantra? Medha Suktam chant karo. Mind is like that. It doesn't want silence. It doesn't want to merge in the silence. So what should be done about it? There is nothing to be done. Just be aware of the mind's craving for variety and content. Be aware. In that awareness, you gain mastery and mind learns and tries to keep quiet. I tell you, this kind of meditation, we have seen other kinds of meditation. We started with Japadhyanam and went to Saguna Brahma, Upasana, then came to Ahamasmi, Omkara, Soham. We have seen a few things, but now we have come to the real meditation. Meditation begins when you become free from thought. So the thoughtlessness is the meditation. Manaso yamani bhave brahma sampadyate tada. So Shri Krishna also says something similar to that. Nengate sopama yatha deepaha nivatasthaha nengate. So inga cheshtayam nengate sopama smruta. That is the example. So the light, the lamp, where there is no breeze, it remains steady. That is the example. Example for what? For meditation. It's a meditative illustration. Therefore, to be free from thoughts is meditation. So, this is recognized both by Hatha Yoga people and Vedanta people. They also say the same thing. Yogash chittavritti nirodhaha. But freedom from thoughts is achieved by a kind of a subtle mental violence. Nirodha, the language itself, shows the psyche behind that language. So, isko maar do. How is that? Isko quiet kar do? Nahi. Isko maar do. You make it quiet? No. Kill it. Something like that. So, in Gita, there is a word, Atma Samstham Manah Kratva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Okay? Samstham means Samyak Tishtati. It is Samstham. So, Atmani Samyak Tishtati. It is Tishtha Giti Nivurtav. It stays motionless within its own source, which is the pure awareness, awareful being, that is the Atma. Then there is another Sanskrit word called samstha. Samstha mrutyuhu. So Atmani samstha yasya tat. Like that they made it. Atmani samyak tishtati na. Atmani samstha yasya tat means nirodha ho gaya. Atmani mrutyuhu nirodha. Like that one Tikakara described it. You see, look at that psychology. Atmani samyak tishtati, that is one way of looking at it. Atmani samstha mrutyuhu yasyatat manaha atma samstham. So, you talk of killing the mind. Now, that is violence. Mental violence is also violence only. Violence of the mind against itself is also violence. You don't need that, because any such violence against the mind leads to conflict. So it leads to conflict. Struggle. Violence is struggle. Struggle leads to conflict. And conflict dissipates the energy. You need energy. To remain silent, you need energy. Remember the dynamo. Today morning I have used the expression dynamo in the meditation. I hope you have noticed the expression, the word dynamo. Dynamo, suppose dynamo is noisy, it is malfunctioning ityarthaha. Okay? So dynamo should not be noisy. So similarly, if you are noisy, you are malfunctioning. Therefore, here we want the silence of the mind, but we adopt a different method. The children are doing a lot of noise. Then a soldier came with a lathi and said, looked at them with a grumpy face, furiously looked at them. And the children, they cowered before him and they became silent. Then he walked away, and then again they started making noise. Okay? Then the teacher came and looked at them with love. They all became silent. So the first one is the Hatha Yoga method, the second one is the Vedanta method. So here what you do, you know, so mind, how to make the mind silent? Look at the mind, observe the mind without being an observer. That is the witnessing. If you are me, I am the Acharya, I will look at my mind. That is not the observation. Or me, I am the sannyasi, I will look at the mind. Me, I am the sadhaka, I will look at the mind. Not like that. There should not be observer. Just let there be witnessing of the mind. Now don't ask how, okay? So just allow that to happen. Do it or allow that to happen. And when you observe the mind slows down. Interestingly, when you sit in the class, you know how the mind is working, it slows down. The mind has to slow down to learn. Otherwise, if the mind is active, you will not listen. You will not understand. Just like you all should be silent so that my voice can be heard. If all of you are talking, I am also talking, nobody hears my voice. Sometimes people are like that. You see, when the focus is on the rituals and the outer forms, people become very noisy. They don't even listen properly. Once to a place, one great Mahatma, the Shringeri Pithadhipati came. He is one of the greatest of the scholars he is. And if he speaks, there is so much wisdom and knowledge in it. 1,000 people gathered, 1,000 or 5,000. They were noisy, pushing each other, throwing this, that, so much noise. Now, the organizer, he asked them to keep quiet, but they won't. because they are not interested in learning anything. They are interested only in the outer form. The personality which is called Jagadguru or whatever, some name is given to the personality, and so they are interested, they are pushing against each other to have a look of the persona. That is what all they want, nothing else. And so the organizer announced, no, Anugraha Bhashanam. Look at that. Look at that. They don't want to learn. They want Anugraha, some grace, whether they deserve it or not, to flow from that person to them. What thinking behind these expressions? All these expressions are very misleading. So, therefore, so poor Swami, he is a great scholar. If only you remain quiet, he will say some very nice things. There is always a lot to learn. But they don't keep quiet. I noticed the mic is given to him. He started talking. And he is talking and talking. For 10 minutes he talked. He did not even pay attention that these people are not listening. So it is his duty to talk, and he finished his talk in 10 minutes. I struggled to hear one word from his mouth. I could not. This example I gave you. When your mind is running hither and thither, you will not reach anywhere. You will not learn anything. Like, for example, now you are listening, your mind is quiet as well as it could be. That's why you are able to listen with focus. I don't say concentration. That is the wrong word. That is the yoga word it is. Concentration is the yoga word. Ekatanata dhyanam. That dhyanam means concentration. Dharana is also concentration. Dhyanam is more intense concentration. That is how. Therefore, you don't need all that. What you need is observe the mind. Like a teacher who loves the students and loved by the students, looks at them and they become quiet. In fact, he doesn't even looking is what? He comes, the sannidhi is enough. They become quiet. Mind becomes quiet. So observe the mind, it slows down and mind becomes quiet. But now there is a job for you. That is, you keep it quiet. Because the mind doesn't like quietude. It wants content and variety. In quiet, there is no content and there is no variety. You see, you want to worship God or contemplate upon God. But now you cannot contemplate. Contemplation is more difficult, very subtle. Therefore, give up contemplation and start a ritual. That is easier. Which is easy? Running to Triveni Ghat and coming back, or sitting and doing dhyanam for 15 minutes, which is easy. Therefore, people do the easier thing. And therefore, they replace contemplation with ritual. So, and if anybody points out, Sesham Kopena Porayet. Because in ritual there is content and variety. In contemplation there is no content and there is no variety. So mind wants content and variety, and therefore you don't allow that to dominate. You keep quiet. So this is how bhava shunya sadbhava susthitihi. Then the mind rebels in the beginning. Because it wants content and variety, it rebels in the beginning. So with patience and perseverance. I don't want to use the word gradual. Gradualness becomes a psychological time. Whereas patience and perseverance is not psychological time. Let me hope so. You take the words in the right spirit. So with patience and perseverance, the mind will yield. It will yield and keep quiet. Lalaye chitta balakam, the famous saying from Yoga Vasishtha. Therefore, also, you should not contradict yourself. You have to find out what are the elements that stirs the mind. So, desire is like a wind which stirs water of a pond. Desire stirs the mind. Therefore, understand that and let the desires be dropped. Desire is not yours. Desire comes in the mind. Manogatan. So it comes, not even comes, it goes. But if you allow it to go, it goes. But if you don't, if you cling to it, it won't go. It stays. So look at the meaninglessness of the changeful. So desire is what? Desire of the changeful. Desire of the content of the known. Known. You desire the known. So therefore, understand it. You are already supposed to be saturated with the changeful and the known. I ask a question. If you are not saturated with the changeful and known, if you find the changeful and known so fulfilling and interesting, why are you in Hrishikesh? Why don't you be in Delhi or Agra? What are you doing here? Putting some marks on the forehead and putting some colored robes on the body? What are you doing here? Why not have some jean pants and a striped shirt and have some fun in Delhi? What are you doing here? So this is the kind of contradiction that we should not become victims of. So it is assumed that you are saturated with the known and the changeful. So therefore the desire belongs to the field of the known and the changeful, and therefore when somebody says give up all the desires, who is saying? Swami TV is saying that? No, Sri Krishna is saying. Swami TV is like mic. Suppose what you hear you don't like, suppose. You go and attack the mic, go and attack it. Will you do that? You won't do that. Because the mic is not saying, Swami TV is not saying. Swami TV is the mic. Sri Krishna is saying. Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha means Shri Bhagavan Vakti Ityartha. All lit becomes lat. All in mantras, Babhuva means Bhavati. Uvacha means Vakti. Or Vardati, whatever. Therefore, when you hear, give up the desires, lock, stock and barrel, Prajahati, Sarvan, see Bhashyakara, lock, stock and barrel, you should not resist it. Okay? Therefore, you should allow the desires to evaporate. Then the disturbance, the mind remains quiet, because it is the desire which stirs the mind. Also, you want to remain quiet in meditation, and the rest of the time you become agitated and create circumstances for agitation. So that kind of self-contradiction doesn't work. That is what people do. So you have to, in your life, you have to examine what all that makes your mind restless. You should detach yourself from all that which makes your mind restless. You should detach. Suppose you listen to the news and get disturbed, then don't listen to the news. You listen to the news and remain quiet. Okay, go ahead and listen. What is happening to Corona? So you get this, yo. If that is what your way you react to that, then don't worry about Corona. Let it play it out. Let it play out. And after 10 days, you will know what happened to Corona. But if you have a knack of keeping quiet in spite of knowing the news, you may listen to the news. So you decide. Suppose you meet a certain kind of people and you are likely to be disturbed in the mind, avoid that group. Suppose you play cards or gambling or speculation, stocks, etc., that is very likely to make your mind restless. You cannot be like Janaka, It is likely to make your mind restless. Therefore, avoid all that. No, we want to make money. Put whatever little money you have, put it in a bond or a government bond or whatever, which gives very little limited income. Be satisfied with that and you can forget about it. You will remember it only when that money comes to your house, into your account, and you get a note. Then you will, I have invested there and this money came. Then you will remember. Till then you won't even remember. This is how You find out what makes your mind restless. Find out. And detach yourself from that. So, renounce all that disturbs peace. You should do that. Otherwise, how are you going to accomplish bhava shunya, sadbhava susthitihi? This is all nivurti. So, it is renounce all that disturbs peace. If you want peace, you deserve it. I say two things. If you want health, deserve health. You see, I went to a home for bhiksha. Some ritual is going on for an hour or so. So it's okay. After now the ritual has come to an end and you will have some bhiksha and come back. I asked or I was told. What is the ritual? It is a worship of Lord Surya. So they sat inside the house and worshipping Lord Surya. Okay, good, you are welcome. So Surya is Hiranyagarbha, I know that. So Surya Mandalantargataha, you know. So that is fine. And then for what? I did not ask. I don't ask. My curiosity coefficient is 0. I am not curious. I lived in this ashram for so many months and years even. I did not know that there is a good grocery shop outside called Gayatri shop. Only today morning I came to know. I did not know it. Because curiosity is 0. When I walk on the road, like a horse with blinkers. Curiosity is 0. I did not ask. Why are you doing the ritual? The person told me, I am doing it for good health. So for good health, so he is a pre-diabetic or whatever, and so he is doing a ritual to become good health. For good health you do ritual like that? I told her, Arey appa, kya baat kar raha hai? Morning 10 o'clock you start a ritual inside the house and do it, because that is when the Purohit came. If only aisa kiya hota to, if only had you gone out morning 6:30, look at the rising sun and did 5 Surya Namaskars, you would get good health. If you want good health, deserve good health. If you want peace, deserve peace. So, therefore, this is what you want. You want peace. You say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Why you say so many times Om Shanti Dasha Shantayaha? Why you want 10 Shantis and in each Shanti 3 Shantis? Why you want? Why don't you be like a ritualist who doesn't say Shanti only one time? I appreciate the ritualist. He says Om Shanti Rastu. He doesn't say a second time. Then Pushti Rastu. Oh, he has got so many. He doesn't say Shanti Rastu, Shanti Rastu, Shanti Rastu. What he will do with so much Shanti? He says Shanti Rastu, Pushti Rastu, Tushti Rastu, Arogyamastu, Ayushyamastu, Dhanadhanya Samruddhi Rastu, Pashu Samruddhi Rastu, Putra Pautradi Samruddhi Rastu, Visa Prapti Rastu. That is the ritualist. You say you are not a ritualist, you are a Vedantin, and you say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, then you deserve Shanti, not saying Shanti 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 half a dozen times. So, therefore, you see, when the mind is ready for peace and silence, the sun of the Atma shines in that mind. You don't invite the sun. I told you many times, you don't invite the sun. The mirror can do nothing to attract the sun. Please understand. The mirror can do nothing to attract the sun. Nothing. The mirror has no job to do to attract the sun. It can only keep itself clean. Similarly, you keep the mind clean. Mind clean means mind silent and quiet and alertful, not sleeping. That is sattva. Mind is sleeping, of course peaceful and quiet, but tamas, darkness. Mind alert, silent and quiet, the sun of Atma shines in that mind. You see, I tell you, humanity's problem, not just your problem and my problem. The humanity's problem lies in the misuse of the mind only. You misuse the mind. So, you see, what are the misuse? Why you misuse the mind? What causes the misuse of the mind? Fear and greed cause the misuse of mind. You see, a person who has fear in a number of forms. Fear is anxiety of the future, anticipation, expectation, and fear is worry about the future, anxiety about the future, and so such a person, the things they do, the things these people who are afraid, the things they do are mind-boggling. The kind of things they do. But in the worldly life, they take bribes. You know why? Because he is anxious about the future. After the end of the month, government will give me 10,000 rupees, but it may not be enough for me, and therefore he becomes anxious. Therefore he starts taking bribes. And you know, some of these bribed people in India, they have accumulated wealth enough for 6 generations. Because they are constantly worried, oh, my son and my daughter, they should have enough comforts. And then my grandson and granddaughter. And then my great-grandson and great-granddaughter. Because they get married quite early, and the lady is already given the first child birth between 17 and 20. And therefore the man, by the time he becomes 80 or 85, there are great-grandchildren. That is how we have become 1.3 billion people, you know. This is how. And now he is worried about great-grandchildren. And then out of this fear, a variety of rituals are born. And a variety of systems, predictive systems, which are all belief systems, mostly superstitious. So they are all thriving because of the fear, which is so ubiquitous in the society. So the type of things which people do out of fear, endless. Fear makes people slaves. They are unfit for thinking and therefore knowing. So I have said enough about fear. Fear, as long as you entertain fear, your mind is not ready for the truth. And then desire. Greed. Desire is what? Greed. So what you have, you are not contented. Therefore you desire something more. That is the greed. And fear and greed, they cause the misuse of the mind. The right use of the mind. You cannot be silent all the time. I am not suggesting that. Please don't do that kind of misapprehension. Okay? I am not suggesting. Suppose after the class is over, in another little time I will finish it, and then you will go for tea. You need the mind. Suppose you become mindless or thoughtless, not mindless, thoughtless, then you will not be able to go there and take tea. You need thought. Thought should serve you. You should not serve the thought. Therefore, you see, dog should wag its tail. Tail should not wag the dog. So, therefore, misuse of the mind, right use of the mind should be there. You know what is the right use of the mind? See, there is love in your heart. Okay? Now, the right use of the mind is in the service of that love. In the service of the love. So, you speak and you act. Of course, from the mind only speech and action happen, they originate. And therefore, the mind is put in the service of love and in the service of truth. Therefore, you use the mind to make Shravana Manana Nididhyasana possible. That is what you have done. So you have put the mind in the service of truth in the last 10 days of this camp. And then while interacting with elders, with kids, with children, while interacting with the neighbor, with the colleague, you have used the mind in the service of love, in the sense that You love the children, you love the neighbor, you love the colleague, you love the country, you love the society, and you love the humanity, and you allow the mind in the service of that love. Use the mind. This is how you use the mind. It is called Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga rolled into one. And then use the mind in the service of truth. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. That is the right use of mind. And then you should have the silence of mind also equally important. This is how Bhava Shunya Sadbhava Susthitihi. Then what is this silence? What is this silence? You should understand silence is in tune with being. Sat. Sadekameva Somyadamagra Asit. Sachidananda Sat, it is Sat. And silence is in tune with the Sat. Whereas noise or the movement of the mind is out of tune with Sat. You should understand that. That's why you convert the whole teaching into an intellectual exercise and go after the gobbledygook of Vedanta. Did you get that word? Yeah. The spelling is dy, not de, dy. I said de, it was wrong. Later I remembered when I went to my room, I am like tube light. I went into the room and thought, oh, I told the wrong spelling. It took me 2 minutes to know that I have. So, gobbledygook of Vedanta, don't get caught in all that. You should be able to see the jargon for what it is and the truth. So, knowledgeable versus seeing people. You be the seeing, yah pashyati sapashyati. You need not be very knowledgeable unless you want to become an acharya of Vedanta. That is a different, you want to make that a career? Yeah, some people want it. Like you can make yoga into a career, I advise them. Make yoga into a career. Now that you have come to Hrishikesh, gave up some job, this and that, and you linger here for another 6 months or 1 year, and then you go back, nobody will give you a job. Because the world has moved forward and you are left behind. And whatever skill you had, nobody wants it now anymore. If you are a computer engineer, nobody wants you because they have gone ahead. You know Java, but they want C++ or C++, whatever. I don't know, just I said something. So they don't want you. Therefore you have to stay here only. Therefore I say, learn yoga. Yoga is again limitation. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Just limit there. Don't go to pratyahara. Pratyahara will make you conflicted and struggling for the rest of the life. Okay? So stay with that and learn those things and teach people. Make a career out of it. I suggest that. I sincerely suggest that. But don't try to make a career out of Vedanta. Make a career out of begging. Bhikshacharyam charanti. Make a career out of begging. There is a glory in begging. That's why you are wearing ochre robes in Indian society, not outside India. Outside India this doesn't work. I have tried, this doesn't work outside. You see, I asked the first question, where is Govinda restaurant in this city? I went to Bogota. There is a city like the big city, Colombia capital. I went to Bogota and asked, where is Govinda restaurant? Fortunately, there are Google, etc. There is a Govinda restaurant. Find the way to it. Because you need some food, you know. Whereas in India, some bhiksha will be there, no problem at all. Really. Therefore, don't make Vedanta a career. Make Bhikshacharyam career. Bhikshacharyam charanti. Vedanta is incidental. Somebody wants to learn something and you know a little more than him. Only because you were born a few years earlier, probably. More often than not. Anyway, therefore, what is this silence? You see, I would like to present it this way. What is the natural state of the mind? A few things you should know. Illustration. What is the natural state of a water pond? When it is placid, no waves. That is the natural state. Take it as an example. What is the natural state of the spine? Not yes. That is not the natural state. J inverted, is the natural state of the mind. What is the backbone? What is the natural state of the mind? Thoughtlessness. Not blankness, not mindlessness. Thoughtlessness. So that is the natural state of the mind. In other words, only silence is the natural state of the mind. You learn, you examine your moments of learning even a small thing. Like you ask, you are purchasing vegetables. What is the cost of 1 kg? You ask, you are anxious. There is a little anxiety. Take it like that. Because they tell higher price, then you bargain, they bring it down. If you don't bargain, they keep quiet and take the higher price. You look at them, these people. Suppose somebody doesn't bargain, he pays extra. So it happened to me. I paid 10 rupees and took. And I was walking, somebody else asked for 5 rupees. He gave it to him also. And then I went back. You gave it to him for 5 rupees and took 10 rupees from me. You did not bargain. So look at that. Anyway, so the point is, what is the natural state of the mind? Only silence. Only silence is the natural state. Now, not the idea of silence, the silence itself. It is like, hey, what are you doing? I am silent. Not that. That means inside you have the idea of silence, and therefore you say, I am silent. Hey, what were you doing? What are you doing? So you now know. Are you sleeping? Yes, I am sleeping. No, you are not sleeping. Are you silent? Yes, I am silent. Not like that. Not the idea of silence. The silence itself. So, you see, I am speaking. This is the Vyakarana's spota. Between word and word there is gap. Between sentence and sentence there is gap. Knowledge happens in that gap. Rama killed Ravana. The knowledge happens, Rama, knowledge happens not after Ra, only after the end of Ma. Not while speaking Ma. The knowledge happens after the end of the word spoken. And the knowledge happens after all the sentences are spoken. Why full stop? Why do you put full stop? Because if you don't put full stop, knowledge doesn't happen. Suppose you don't put full stop, knowledge won't happen. So you need a full stop for the knowledge of the sentence to happen. This is the spota, spotavada. Spota is sputo bhavati asmin. It is spotaha. Spu becomes spo. Spota is the dhatu. Spota also means explosion, but that is not the meaning here. Spota means clear understanding. Therefore, knowledge happens in the gap. Now, experience happens in the background of the mental silence. You see a flower, and I love this flower. That is an experience. Before that experience, there must have been silence of the mind. After the experience, there must be silence of the mind. And through the experience, there is the silence of the mind in the background. This operates exactly like sound. When I speak, there was silence before, and there is silence afterwards. And in the background, there is silence. Suppose in the background, there is no silence, there is noise, then you will not hear the word. Only you hear when there was silence, there will be silence, and there is silence in the background all the time. Similarly, the mental experiences or learning, knowledge, anything can happen only in the background of silence. And therefore, you have to understand the importance of silence of the mind. And you see, don't get upset. Suppose mind doesn't become silent and you are upset. Then what happens? Will it help the situation? No. It makes it worse. You get into struggle, then it won't become silent. Don't be upset. Don't struggle for silence. It is like sleep. If you struggle for sleep, you won't get sleep. In fact, whatever sleep is about to come also will run away. Therefore, don't get upset. You keep quiet, all will come. Don't be anxious about silence. Don't be anxious, because anxiety disturbs the silence. So, don't be anxious about future. This is the formula. Don't be anxious about the future. Be quiet now. How is that? So, if you are a Vedantin, you should be able to appreciate that. So, you examine your experiences of learning. This is what I said. You are bargaining for the vegetables. And what is the cost? What is kg cost? How much? You are anxious. Because she or he likely to say a higher price, and then after bargaining it will come down. I am not good in bargaining, you think. That may be true. Therefore there is anxiety. A little. And therefore you are listening. Learn the cost of 1 kg vegetable. You have to learn. That is an experience. She says and you learn. At that moment you examine your mind. It was completely silent. Just a simple example I gave you. You learn in those moments only when the mind is silent. When the mind is silent, learning takes place. This is the Spotavada of Vaiyakaranas. Okay? Therefore, keep quiet. Be quiet now. Don't be anxious about the future. Be quiet now. You see, somebody asked me, Swami, do you have a fad against these predictive things, prediction things? I said, I don't have a fad against them. I see how this makes people anxious about the future. They are constantly looking at the future. You see, I met one cinema guy. The cinema guys also meet occasionally. I don't go after them. By chance you happen to meet. So I met a cinema guy. He says a few things, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say. Please believe me, I don't have anything to say. I will only answer questions because it is polite to answer the question. And answer correctly because I don't want to tell a lie. That is the only movement. All movement is from the other guy. So he is telling something. And he thinks that I am a Swami. Therefore, the first thing he wants to know whether I can see I can predict his future. Hand or paper or whatever. When I tell the person, no, I don't know, he is outright disappointed. And then he asks me, then what do you do? Because what happened, will you mind if I say something frankly? What happened is a good number of Vedanta people have left Vedanta behind and resorted to this kind of thing, unscientific thing. Vedanta is scientific,